Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the family of a man in a coma after a police chase is speaking out. Plus, we hear from two candidates in the race for Victoria County Commissioner in Precinct 1. And why a flight headed for Houston, that is, makes an emergency landing in Baton Rouge.
We had another hot and day. I mean, we got up to 96, but tomorrow, you're not going to believe this, the high temperature, 78 degrees. Fall weather finally arrives. We'll be talking about that coming up.
And the Yoakum Bulldogs, they battle the Columbus Cardinals here in Week 8 of high school football. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie. Don Brubaker is off tonight. A man is in a coma following a police chase in Port Lavaca. A crash during that chase left 20-year-old Jonathan Smith hospitalized, and now his family is speaking out. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting talked to the family, who is wanting some clarity as to what exactly happened that day.
20-year-old Jonathan Smith Jr. was in Texas celebrating his birthday and picking up this year's gift, a motorcycle. Just a few days later, Port Lavaca police tried to pull him over. He refused to stop and led Port Lavaca police on a chase. Smith ended up crashing into another vehicle at an intersection. He's now in a coma at a San Antonio hospital.
And I don't know if I get to keep my son or not, but I don't think none of this is right, man.
Oh my gosh, this guy was running from the police on a motorcycle and he just T-boned the car.
Port Lavaca Police Chief Colin Rangnow says Smith Jr. was flagged down for an expired registration. Police say 6 to 8 units, one from another department, joined the chase at a certain point. They also say the chase lasted about 10 to 15 minutes and reached speeds as high as 70 miles per hour. Departments sometimes choose not to pursue motorcycles if they believe there would be a threat to the public, police, or even the suspect. Chief Rangnow says conditions on the road that day contributed to their choice to chase Smith Jr. Police say they're looking into a warrant on Smith Jr.'s record from Greeley, Colorado, related to a probation violation on a weapons charge. Smith Sr. says police may have thought it was him, as he has a charge with the police on his record.
Would it be? And yes, I've done some wrong in my lifetime, and I get to, but that shouldn't trickle down on my son. You know what I'm saying?
Smith Sr. says the charges against his son in Colorado are being worked out. Police still plan to look at toxicology reports on Smith Jr. and plan to charge him for evading arrest and failure to identify. Smith remains in San Antonio in critical condition. Smith Sr. says his son shed a tear during this interview. It's the first interaction from his son since the incident. Trenton Whiting, KAVU-TV.
As Election Day is around the corner, two candidates are fighting for the Victoria County Commissioner spot for Precinct 1. Danny Garcia has held the position for 3 years, or 3 terms that is, or 12 years. Challenger Kenneth Wells is a deputy for the Victoria County Sheriff's Office. He has served as a law enforcement officer for 27 years. Both candidates say they want to serve as the voice for the community of Bloomington and all of Victoria County.
Always being available to be the person that people can come to when they need help.
The other thing is facilitating a healthy relationship with our city council and our school board. Be a better representative for Precinct 1 as a whole. There are several things several projects that I want to be a part of. The community center is a huge factor.
Early voting starts on Monday, October 21st, and early voting takes place at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center. A reminder to drivers that part of Airline Road will be closed overnight. The section of Airline Road between Main Street and Navarro closed just a couple minutes ago at 10 o'clock tonight for a utility tie-in. This is part of the construction of the public safety headquarters. The road will close overnight and reopen at 3 o'clock in the morning. Motorists should drive cautiously, obey all signs and barricades posted in the work zone, and through traffic can avoid any delays by seeking alternate routes. Well, tonight was free admission night at the Calhoun County Fair, and tomorrow Mac is going to be out there to join in on some of the fair fun, along with give us a forecast from there. So as our viewer poll, we wanted to know what your favorite part of the fair is. Is it the carnival rides, the stock show, auction, or the food? And it's been pretty consistent all night that just over half of you like to go to the fair, the county fair, in Calhoun County for the food. So hopefully they've got some good choices here over the next couple of days, and thanks to everyone for voting. And it's going to feel a little different for everyone who's headed out to the Calhoun County Fair tomorrow, right, Mac?
It is going to be wonderful as the temperatures are actually going to drop of almost 20 degrees. Tomorrow's high temperature, in fact, should be about 78. Evenings may actually be cool, so no more of that hot, steamy stuff to deal with. We're looking at this little frontal system to get down into our area. And you know, you said the food was most popular, and it was all really healthy stuff, right?
Oh, nothing's fried.
Nothing fried. We'll have more details on your forecast coming up in just a moment.
All right, thanks, Mac. And hopefully you're going to bring some of that back for us tomorrow night. Well, as FEMA responds to Hurricanes Helene and Milton, an agency spokesperson says it has roughly $8.5 billion in its disaster relief fund. Despite the relatively low balance, the spokesperson says FEMA has the funding it needs to continue recovery efforts from both hurricanes. The balance is also a reflection of how it has been a year of nonstop disasters filled with tornadoes, wildfires, and floods. Congress may be forced to replenish the disaster relief funds, but the House of Representatives isn't expected to return until after the November election. Meanwhile, the Small Business Administration's disaster loan program, which is a critical lifeline to small businesses, homeowners, and renters affected by disasters, has been exhausted. House Speaker Mike Johnson has promised that this and other disaster programs will be replenished when Congress returns, so Americans should continue to apply for these loans. SBA will continue to process applications and will disperse loans as soon as Congress provides the needed funding. A dramatic twist in the case of a mother of 4 who vanished from an upscale neighborhood north of downtown San Antonio more than a week ago. Investigators now converging on a landfill where police say they're confident there's a good chance the body of Suzanne Clark Simpson will be found. The 51-year-old was last seen outside her Olmos Park home around 11 p.m. on October 6th. Police releasing an image from earlier that night showing her at a private club. Her husband of nearly 22 years, Brad Simpson, reporting her missing. But he's now behind bars on assault and unlawful restraint charges.
It's very suspicious that obviously she's not going to work and she's not checking in on her children.
An arrest affidavit says the night the mother disappeared, a neighbor saw the couple involved in a physical altercation and later heard 2 to 3 screams from a wooded area. A wild start to the morning for passengers on a United Airlines flight after their plane had to make an emergency landing. A flight leaving from Charleston, South Carolina en route to Houston had to make an emergency stop in Baton Rouge due to mechanical issues. With 123 passengers on board, the flight was going to land at Louis Armstrong International Airport in New Orleans, but was diverted to Baton Rouge because of visibility issues. A recovery flight was then sent to take passengers to their original destination of Houston. In 3 Texas counties, at least 9 U.S. citizens were mistakenly labeled as non-citizens or removed from voter rolls for not responding to letters questioning their citizenship. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. Well, Victoria County deputy wrangles a snappy suspect. Corporal Parma found himself face to snout with an unexpected guest, an 8-foot alligator casually shopping outside a convenience store in Placido. Armed with confidence and probably the theme song from the Gator Boy show playing in his head, he went in for the catch. Parma had things mostly under control, but did get a little help from Texas Game Warden Jared Lewis. The gator was safely evicted from its spontaneous shopping trip and taken to a more wildlife-friendly location. Shout out to Corporal Parma and Warden Lewis for making sure this gator didn't leave with any free snacks. Well, be sure to check out the next episode of Let's Grow Texas Ag, where they'll dig into the agriculture impact here in the Crossroads. In this episode, Joe Adams heads to Jackson County to talk with Joey Burris and Jerome Rosapal. You can catch Let's Grow Texas Ag tomorrow night at 6:30 on our sister station KMOL. It will also air here on KAVU at noon on Sunday. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to stay on top of those videos that we post on YouTube. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, why podcasts have become the newest campaign stage for Trump and Harris. Plus, lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs want prosecutors to release the names of Combs' accusers. Welcome back. New developments in the sex trafficking case facing music producer Sean Diddy Combs. His lawyer asked the judge overseeing the case to order the government to disclose the names of Combs' accusers. Combs' lawyers say they need to prepare for trial and they need the names of the people accusing Combs of wrongdoing. Combs has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking, racketeering, and other charges. His lawyers also have raised concerns about Combs' prosecution. They filed a letter with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. The letter suggests the decision to prosecute Combs was racially motivated. There's a new campaign destination this election for both former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris: podcasts. Hadass Gold explores what the candidates have said and how their appearances might sway some votes.
With all of that said, let's get into it.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump have been racing to sit in front of the biggest podcast microphones.
Madam Vice President Alex, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
It is good to be with you.
The newest media stars and their millions of listeners becoming some of the most important campaign stops.
This is going to be great.
I think so too.
Looking forward to this all my life.
As the media landscape shifts, so are the candidates as they scramble to target a younger and often hard-to-reach audience.
He knows you very well. He said, Dad, he's big.
Wow.
Yeah, big one.
That's cool.
So that's good. Well, that's where it is nowadays, right?
Trump has been flooding the podcast zone, focusing on platforms aimed at the right and white men, going on with Theo Vaughn, Nelk Boys, Logan Paul, Barstool Sports Bussin' with the Boys, and many others.
I like doing stuff like this, you know. I like it. I like conversation. I don't seem to get myself in much trouble. When she does it, every time she does it, they say she's stupid. She's stupid.
Meanwhile, Harris has been more selective, appearing on shows better known for their sex tips and celebrity gossip than news, like The Shade Room, All the Smoke, and most recently Call Her Daddy, where she talked about Trump's past comments on abortion.
Can you imagine? He is suggesting that women in their 9th month of pregnancy are electing to have an abortion. Are you kidding? That is so outrageously inaccurate.
Conversations on the podcast have a different approach than the traditional news sit-down, mixing in the lighthearted.
One of my guilty pleasures, especially when I'm on the road, are my Doritos.
Oh, what flavor?
Nacho. Old school, original. Come on.
Yeah. Along with the politics.
We can live with the marijuana. It's got to be a certain age. Got to be a certain age to buy it. It's got to be done in a very concerted, lawful way.
Although with little to no fact-checking or follow-up.
We were ripped off by every nation in the world, and some of the worst rippers were our so-called allies.
Podcasts have become a major part of the media diet for many Americans, with 2/3 of adults under 30 listening in the past year. And even though many don't go to podcasts for their news, they trust what they're hearing. A stunning 87% say they expect the information on their podcasts to be mostly accurate. The candidates are clearly taking this to heart, with Reuters reporting that Vice President Harris is in talks to sit down with the popular and powerful podcaster Joe Rogan. Trump also announcing earlier his own interview with Joe Rogan is in the works.
Podcast audiences are growing. Edison research in 2023 shows 42% of Americans aged 12 and older said they had listened to a podcast within the last month. A decade before, that number was only 12%. The Federal Aviation Administration is auditing the potential for near collisions, known as runway incursions, at the 45 busiest airports in the U.S. The FAA says the audit will focus on risks at each airport. According to the agency, it will identify, quote, potential gaps in procedures, equipment, and processes, and recommendations to improve safety. This comes on the heels of the National Transportation Safety Board's preliminary findings on a September incident. In that incident, an Alaska Airlines flight had to abort takeoff as a Southwest Airlines flight taxied across the same runway. No one was hurt in that incident. The FAA says overall runway incursions are significantly down, but even one incident is one too many. Brain scans reveal how different types of love, from romance to friendship to puppy love, activate distinct areas in the brain. For more on this love story, here's ABC News' Zoreen Shaw.
In a new study published in the journal PLOS ONE, researchers used imaging techniques to show how love lights up the brain. Love of a pet, for example, shows up in specific parts of the brain linked to reward and emotions, similar to passionate and parental love. In fact, the researchers could tell if someone was a pet owner just by looking at their brain scan. But it was love for a child that generated the most intense brain activity, followed closely by romantic love. Compassionate love for a stranger showed the weakest brain response. Love of nature set off the visual areas of the brain, but not the ones linked to social behavior. This research offers some fascinating insights into complexities of how we experience love. And what's not to love about that? With this Medical Minute, I'm Zoreen Shah.
The Biden administration has stepped in using the Defense Production Act to tackle the shortage of IV fluids. Baxter International's North Carolina plant, the biggest producer of IV fluids in the U.S., was hit hard by Hurricane Helene last month. Although they've started distributing again, supplies are still tight, including for dialysis solutions. The Defense Production Act will help Baxter get the materials they need to clean up, rebuild, and gear up for production. The company hopes to gradually restart operations by the end of the year, but there is no clear timeline for when they'll be back to full capacity.
And we're looking at the front, folks. A real frontal system, honest to goodness front. It's going to be here in the morning. We went from 96 today, tomorrow's forecast 78 as a high temperature. We'll talk about it coming up after this. Well, good evening, everybody. 77 degrees out there, fairly comfortable, but it's going to get even better because this is probably going to be our daytime high tomorrow. I know, it sounds crazy after the summer we've been through. We were at 96 today. Yesterday we were at 99. We set a new record. We're supposed to be about 85, but guess what? Tomorrow's high temperature forecast to be about 78. Wow, what a difference. First, let's talk a little bit about the rain. In July, we had good rain, solid 6 inches. In August, a little bit below normal. September was right at about normal, but then down for October, we have nothing. So we are basically short, running short. We've got about 25 days with no significant rainfall. It's not going to happen in the next few days because what we have is a dry front coming down through our region. I'm going to show you that a little bit more in a moment. This frontal system is actually being pushed by some strong high pressure coming out of Canada, pushing down and giving us some real significant break in the weather. Now notice that today we had a southeasterly wind and really more of a southwesterly wind, which helped make it fairly warm. But see right here, just at about Waco, you can see the line dropping south. There are the winds that are switching around. So this will be here about sunrise. And right after that, for the morning and certainly by noontime, you're going to feel a really nice fresh north wind blowing through the area, cooling us down, giving us the first big break in temperatures that we've had since last year. Meanwhile, that ridge of high pressure is also going to influence the Gulf of Mexico and help to keep the stormy weather out of the tropics away from us. Here are the current readings. You can see we're at 77, 76 in Dallas. Watch this. In Oklahoma, they're in the 50s. Okay, in St. Louis, they're in the 50s. In Chicago, they're in the 40s. And if you want to go to International Falls, Minnesota, it's 29. So yeah, it looks like we've got a first big push. These are the forecast highs for tomorrow. I couldn't believe it when I printed this out. It said 79 for us, 76 for Austin, 68 the high in Dallas after being in the hundreds. Well, yes, we're finally getting that significant break, and it is all a matter of which way the wind blows. It'll be blowing out of the north. Now, in the south, we have this area right off the coast of Central America that still has a possibility of blooming itself up and becoming a storm. But it doesn't matter as far as we're concerned. It's going to go across westerly, across the mainland there, over the isthmus, and Nicaragua and El Salvador are going to get very heavy rainfall out of it. But fortunately for us, we're going to be okay. Out here in the mid-Atlantic is a storm center that has potential to develop into a tropical storm. But once it gets about here, about Miami, I believe it's going to turn to the south because the dome of high pressure will be too strong for it. So we're not going to worry about that one either. However, we're going to watch it for you. A forecast for tomorrow is just delightful. Look at this. Partly cloudy, Port Lavaca, 76 as a high temperature. Yeah, all courtesy of that northeast wind blowing in. In Cuero, they're going to be dancing in the streets on Esplanade there with about 78 degrees as a high temperature. Unfortunately, there's no significant rain in the future, but we've got some much nicer weather, feeling like fall finally, because temperatures will only topping out near 80 degrees for the next 4 or 5 days. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And time for sports with Maxwell. Over to you.
Thanks, Mac. Tonight we had the Battle of Victoria here on the volleyball court between Victoria East and Victoria West. Find out who won in sports. Now, yesterday we highlighted a big game between the Cuero Gobblers and the Sinton Pirates, but what team will we look at tonight here for Week 8? We got the Yoakum Bulldogs. They're going to be playing here on the road versus the Columbus Cardinals here this week in Yoakum. They head in this game 5-2, and they beat the Hempstead Bobcats last week 55-14. And Trey Cuellar, we saw in our viewer poll yesterday, was voted as our impact player of the week from last week, and he's going to have to be huge against the #1 team in Class 3 Division I in the Columbus Cardinals. They're 6-0. Again, they have a star running back in Grayson Rigdon. He's one of the most explosive players in the entire 3A there for Columbus, but Yoakum has a star athlete of their own with wide receiver there, Xavier Barnett. He's going to have to be huge in this game if they want to get a big-time win, possibly an upset there over Columbus this week. And Yoakum, they do have a little confidence heading into this game on a 3-game winning streak. They won over Hyde Park, Hempstead, and Blanco here before heading in tonight. So if you like offense, this one's going to be a high-scoring game for both of these teams. It's going to be coming down to which defense will get the stop at the end of the day. Will probably win this game. Now from Yoakum here to a team that's located here in Victoria. Again, the Flyers of St. Joseph, they travel to play Katy St. John High School this Friday night. And one of the players who's been very consistent and has been a leader for the entire year here for the Flyers is starting quarterback Aiden Aragon. I talked to him earlier about how his leadership qualities have helped this team out so far this season.
I think we're a younger team as of now. We're a young team, so I think being a leader for the younger classmen and I think I've improved a lot on my decision making and getting the ball off faster to my playmakers so they can do their thing. And I think that's really it. Just being a leader and being a better quarterback.
Aragon will have to keep bringing those leadership qualities on the field this week. Again, as I mentioned, they'll play Katy St. John on the road this Friday night. Now, earlier today, I mentioned that the Victoria East Titans volleyball team could have made some history tonight playing Victoria West and try to get their first ever win versus West in volleyball. But would that happen tonight? Let's check out the highlights here. In the first set, was very competitive between both sides, but West won it 25-21. Then after the first set, though, West, they started to keep bringing it on. They won the second set 25-12, and then the third set 25-11. And Victoria East star Addison Azuna did have 12 kills tonight, and also Jade McIntosh had 14 assists and 7 digs for Victoria East. But for West, they had great contributions all the way around from Kristen Kotak, Emily Parker, and then Hannah Loest, who were big there for the Warriors. And again, they're going to be off until next Tuesday where they have to travel to Terry, while East, they play Terry High School here this upcoming Friday. And over in Port Lavaca, the Calhoun Sand Crabs welcome London Pirates today. After they dropped the first set, they respond by taking the second one. However, the London Pirates took the next 2 sets, holding off a furious rally there from Calhoun, who stormed to the score at 23 apiece. While they didn't get, again, the result they wanted to, Calhoun, they took some time to recognize some Cedars in Neva Rangel and Kenda Vargas, who each reached lofty milestones.
It means a lot to me just knowing I accomplished that and I can even accomplish more throughout this whole season.
It means a lot because I work really hard on the court and I've been on the team for 4 years. Bujek's probably one of my best coaches I've ever had. She coaches us when we're low and when we're high, and she's been a really big impact on my volleyball career.
Vargas and Rangel, they're going to have to try to regroup here this Friday when they have to go to Beeville Jones. That's going to do it here in sports. Shawna, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Max. Well, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at this cool front that's coming our way, plus how Global Cat Day is highlighting non-lethal feline programs and celebrations. An elephant at the Oakland Zoo gets a special treat. Take a look at this. Takes no time to devour the treat either. Video shows Osh, a 30-year-old elephant, gobbling a Halloween pumpkin snack in literally one bite. Pumpkins are actually healthy for elephants as an occasional treat, and they're also used for enrichment. The enrichment opportunities like this are important for their bodies and the brains of animals. So it's good for animals to problem solve, and he figured out how to take care of that problem real quickly.
Problem solved. One bite or two?
Yes, so obviously very tasty. Well, Halloween may be right around the corner, but rehearsals for the 2024 Radio City Christmas Spectacular are underway. Until dress rehearsals begin at the iconic Radio City Music Hall, the Rockettes rehearse at St. Paul the Apostle Church. The Rockettes are known for their athleticism, precision, style, and ability to combine jazz, ballet, tap, and techniques of modern and contemporary jazz. At any given time, there are up to 80 women who are Rockettes, allowing half of them to perform an afternoon show, the other half to perform the later show. Each show actually has 36 women on stage at a time, so there's 4 swings for each show that can fill in if needed. The Radio City Christmas Spectacular opens on November 8th and runs through January 5th. So if you have plans to head up to New York this winter, over Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's a great show to check out.
I've never seen the show live in performance. I mean, I think we've seen it on television, but
that's the same for me.
I guess it's different when you're there.
I'm sure it is. So, but if you do make a trip up there, probably much colder than we're going to be having. We're having some cooler temperatures.
Well, I've been to New York when it's cold, that's for sure. So you'll have to get ready. Now you really need a weatherman to know that it's going to be colder up there. We are finally getting a break in the temperature, folks. Today's high was 96. Tomorrow's high only 78, 79 degrees. Lots of sunshine, cool north wind, lovely weather. It feels like fall, finally.
Still waiting for that sunny and 75, though.
Okay, I'm working on it.
We'll get there.
I'm working on it.
Well, it's time to celebrate fur balls, curiosity, and all things feline related because tomorrow is Global Cat Day. It's observed every year on October 16th. Cats enrich our lives as pets in so many ways that we really don't need an excuse to celebrate them. But Global Cat Day also offers a chance to raise awareness about non-lethal feline management programs in the U.S. Traditional shelter and adoption programs are one solution, but there are others as well, such as trap, neuter, and release, or TNR. TNR allows feral and semi-feral cats to live full lives outdoors in neighborhoods while also controlling the feral population. So I still always remember from the Price is Right, always, spay and neuter your pets.
Oh, Bob Barker.
Bob Barker, yes. So, well, thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to join Carolina and Parker at 5 for sunrise.